Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folarin. Well, we're certainly moving towards the formation of Mr. President's cabinet. All of his ministerial nominees have been processed. They've actually confirmed 45 ministers-designate. There are three, a trio that will be, further processed and no doubt will be dealt with. But anyway, you look, first of all, there's this whole matter about, well, this cabinet, it's shaping up to be quite large. It would be 48 by the time all is said and done. And we haven't ever had that before. But then we've heard that, look, guys, different times, different strokes, different folks. And in any case, it's not about the number. It's about the effectiveness of the assembly of personnel that will do the job that the president will be giving them in due course. Anyway you look at it, yeah, there have been quite some exciting moments in it, and thankfully we've just about come to the end of it all. The last minister-designate to be processed yesterday, Festus Keyamo, SAN, that was quite a boisterous affair. But there's a sense in which people can say, perhaps at the end of the day, all's well that ends well. Mr. Keyamo found himself in, I wouldn't say hot waters exactly, but perhaps turbulent waters. And at the end of the day, he was permitted to go. As a minister, we have this tradition here. You might have expected take a bow and go, which they do sometimes, especially if a member has been a member of the National Assembly before, and they generally extend that courtesy towards such people. I believe that if all had been right, they might just have done that as well. But then the way Mr. Keyamo, SAN, came in, perhaps it wasn't going to be like that. It was unexpected. He himself has said so, that this nomination was unexpected, and that he was ever so thankful to the Lord God Almighty and indeed President Tinubu. So we don't know what portfolio or the ministry that the president will be sending these people to that have been processed by the Senate. But I don't think there's any argument about the composition that we have on the ground, that these are indeed a fine set of men and women in Nigeria that can do the job. Now, as to how it went and the conduct of how they actually, got the job done yesterday, many people have been commenting on what they consider the rowdiness. I mean, it actually took the chairman of that particular screening exercise, the Senate president, to stand up and read them a riot act, not exactly a riot act, but read them a part of the rule that says when the Senate president is on his feet, the rules say that every other senator shall hold his peace and give the Senate president, in this case the chairman of that committee, unfettered access, or shall we say uninterrupted audience. There shall be no further speaking. So all of that, we saw all of this play out. But I suppose the most important thing now is it's, it's been late enough. People had expected that this administration, judging by the way it was going, would have been able to sort this whole matter of a cabinet out maybe in about, 3 to 4 weeks after, but we can now see that with Nigerian politics, it's probably easier said than done. All sorts of considerations. At the last moment, one nominee was, removed from the list, and another was put on the list. So that just goes to show you what the level of, consultation was that had to be undergone. Well, someone to speak with us about this comes from that very constituency, albeit in the immediate past, talking about Honorable Eseme Eyiboh, former spokesman of the House of Representatives. A fine morning to you, Honorable Eyiboh.
To be with you this morning, and good morning, my brother.
Thank you very much for making the time for us. We've seen sessions, some more vigorous than the other, but yesterday we got to a level, just to take the very last first, there's much more meat to this particular bone, where the Senate President had to take the quote-unquote extreme measure of rising to his feet in order to get some audience. And even then, it wasn't very easy. Just give me your, general commentary, having been a member of the National Assembly before. How was that extraordinary?
Well, you know what democracy is all about. Democracy is all about liberties, liberty, freedom to express oneself. And democracy, by its own very expression, is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So every person, you expect that in a parliament, every person will want to take every opportunity to be able to assert himself and also articulate what he considers to be the best in the circumstance, before him. So what happened yesterday wasn't anything very strange. It was very democratic. It was typical of a legislative house. But the issue is how the leadership of the House, the leadership of the Senate, the chairman of the session and the Senate president was able to rise into it is another chapter for leadership. Because what he did, actually, he rose to it, and he was able to bring down tension. And at the end of the day, everybody was heard. All the opinions were all welded together, and they came out with a unanimous decision. And that's what democracy is all about, and leadership.
Indeed. Well, so you're saying it's not extraordinary. Yesterday, as you said, you just said what it's all about. It's just that, we take examples, I imagine, the youth among us, the school children, take example, and we're talking here about distinguished senators. So you sort of, I suppose from what you've explained, it can't be done like that. Almost like automatic, that whatever the boisterousness in the House, by the time the chairman rises to his feet, which he doesn't do very often, somehow it's like not every senator got the memo. In fact, Mr. President opined that, well, not so much opined as commented that he was going to read the particular, I think, was it a rule? Yeah, he was going to read the particular rule for those that might not have gone through it. So do you think that the Nigerian public is, quote-unquote, overdoing it a bit when they expect these distinguished ladies and gentlemen to behave in that kind of a manner where you say that only in the National Assembly can you get that level of compliance, and it's just rule-bound?
Yeah. The thing you must know is that the practice and procedures in any parliament is not something that is an everyday thing in the street. So you don't expect everybody to understand the procedure, practice, and the conduct in any parliament. Legislative House, as a matter of fact, is sacred to the extent that its own rules and regulations are not well known to the public, largely because our democracy is still very new, is still taking its roots. So anything done in the parliament may be perceived, to be a needless and out of the norm. But that is not the issue. The issue is that Legislative House is where people are expected to vent their anger. People are expected. There's this Eyiboh adage that when two brothers enter into a room and they come out smiling, be assured that there is no peace. But when they go into the room and they come out still showing signs of altercation, then there is peace. Because the ability, remember, these people are representing the various districts and constituencies, and they are doing any and everything to protect. Like in the case of yesterday, it was an issue bordering on the integrity and the respect of the legislature when it comes to the issue of executive legislature relationship. That was actually the issue at stake. And how it was being managed, I expect the public, all of us in the public, to be able to give these people the benefit of the doubt. They are human beings in the first place, and coming from various orientations. So those orientations would definitely influence the attitude and conduct of individuals within the province of legislative house. So there was nothing very strange, there was nothing very new. At the end of the day, they were still doing what they were supposed to do as senators, and in respect of the procedure for screening of ministerial nominees. So
yes.
What they were doing is not out of place. They should be given the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, indeed. In any case, they've taken it. But I suppose what it does illustrate is that one has to be quite careful as he goes about his work and according the utmost respect to the National Assembly, because you never know when it can come back and bite you, as indeed almost happened. But then Festus Keyamo, SAN, found it in him to do a backtrack and apologize copiously. And it was, to show you how formal those people can be, they even now had a motion as to whether or not they were going to accept the apology. So all these things, that is why I was asking, because even the man has said, I'm sorry, but still, you can't just say you're sorry. It has to be processed too. Then they say, let the motion be put, let us decide whether we like the apology or not. And then, so at the end of the day, there's a sense in which we saw the parliament by that last, shall we say, the drama in the very last appointee, by the president. But there are other matters. Honorable Eyiboh, what do you think of the three that still have to be further processed? Talking about El-Rufai, Stella Okotete, and Abubakar Danladi. What do you think about those three?
That is a clear indication that the 10th Senate is not a rubber stamping Senate, because they are alive to their responsibilities. They have followed to the letters the intentions and, of course, the purport of screening. And in the course of screening, if there is anything bordering on either security or sundry issues, the Senate has a responsibility to either withhold or decline approval or confirmation, please, of the nominee. So the three persons, lessons are learned here. What are these lessons? That there is the issue of separation of powers here in practice. The 10th Senate has been able to showcase the issue of the separation of powers. The issue of independence of the legislature has been established because the executive sent the names to the Senate. If it was rubber stamping or there was no independence of the legislature, all the names would have been returned. But let us also look at the level of sacrifice that the Senate made. They did not even sit on legislative days. They sat on Saturday, sat on Friday, sat on Saturday, sat on Mondays. These are not legislative days. And just to make sure that they cross all the T's, dot all the I's, look at every background checks, look at correspondences from various agencies, security, and other institutions to be able to balance, making sure that whoever is screened and confirmed will be able to pass through that line. And
Indeed.
They have been able to do that. So for the three persons whose confirmation has been withheld, it is an indicative of the extent of diligence the Senate have deployed in the screening of the ministerial nominees. And I think they should be applauded.
Indeed. All right, then. As you know, Honorable, our program is an interactive one. The first caller of the day has come in, Mr. George, calling out of Lagos. Good morning to you, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you.
Good morning to the guest. Uncle Yori, what I would say to the case of Keyamo's, what we saw yesterday, is that the lawmakers themselves, they should also learn to respect themselves. If you know what goes on between ministers or MDAs with committee members in the House or Senate, you will know what I'm talking about. The guest knows what I'm talking about. If your relationship with the executive agent is not clean, you have to, they say, he who goes to equity must come with clean hands. So respect begets respect. If the legislators respect themselves, the executive agents will also respect themselves. That's all I can say in public.
Okay.
Let me just say something about the portfolios.
Okay, which hasn't been assigned to any of them yet.
Which haven't been assigned to any of them. Many people are saying, oh, this number of ministers are too many. But if you read the manifesto of the president, you will see that there is a lot to be done. They don't know how many ministries are going to be created. They don't know what are going to come up in the process of executing these policies. Some of those that have been confirmed, I have always recommended that Governor Wike should be given the Ministry of Works. We want him because we have seen what he has done in that sector in his state.
Okay.
I will see.
Okay, so thank you for calling in, Mr. Ja. I beg your pardon. I just wanted the Honorable to react. But Honorable, he was making the point that we don't know what ministry who will be attached to.
I want to correct one thing there. He said, you know, but I am not. He said the guest is also aware. I am not aware of what he meant by the committees and the MDAs respecting themselves and all of that. I don't know what goes on there because...
No, about what goes on ahead.
But as a matter of fact, the issue here, the kernel of this discussion is the constitutional provisions, the empowerment of the legislature to carry out its activities. And part of these primary responsibilities as empowered by the Constitution 1999 as amended is one of those issues, is the issue of oversight. So the oversight is not a privilege, it is a right conferred and empowered on the legislature. So the MDAs, the executive or the judiciary, they have no discretion to exercise whether to obey the legislature or not. They are under obligations. It's obligatory. It is compulsory. So once it comes to the issue of oversight, it comes to the issue of appropriation, or it comes to the issue of the legislation, these things is constitutionally empowered and it's clear. So there is no allowance for the exercise of discretion or somebody going to any person's altar to worship. So what happened yesterday is a clear lesson that we must know that when you become a minister, in exercising your privilege as a minister, you should know that there are boundaries. And these boundaries are spelled out by the Constitution. A minister is an agent of the president. And if the president himself has submitted himself to the extent of sending the names for screening for approval by the Senate, the minister who is subsequently appointed through that instrument should be able to respect and abide by the provisions of the law. That's what lesson that has to be learned. Nobody is above the law. Yes.
Indeed. Indeed. Reverend Dominic in Alimosho, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Ichibiore. Good morning to your guest.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to join the Honorable there to also say that I don't understand my brother George, what it means, what goes on in this MDS. Yesterday, I thought the senators will lay a strong precedent to all of us that you cannot insult an institution and come back to that institution and become a minister. If they have stepped down Keyamo, it will send this message to the young, to the middle, to the old. But after that drama yesterday, this I call it drama. In the beginning, I supported them. But after that drama yesterday, for them to allow Keyamo to become a minister, it's an insult to that institution. Listen to me, no matter what happens, two wrongs cannot make good. Two wrongs cannot make good. When Parliament invite anybody, that man is obligated to come to parliament and say his mind, yes or no. That's why you got there. But for them to allow Keyamo, sorry to that parliament. Number two, America is a continent, not a country. People always accuse me of this. How many ministers does a continent have in America? Not up to 40. Why should a nation struggling to feed themselves? A nation they say that we should allow the poor to breathe, have 48 ministers. No matter what is your plan, no matter what is how you want to execute it, bureaucracy does not solve problems. Bureaucracy does not solve problems. What Mr. President wants to bureaucracy, not efficiency. Efficiency doesn't need crowds. They say too many hands for the cooks. What I'm trying to say, 48 ministers is too big for Nigeria today that people are suffering. Somebody collapsed on my gate few days ago, a gate man, and died. One of the cause of it is hunger. Two was he couldn't afford to go to a clinic to buy medicine. My gate man here died 3 weeks ago. He came to work and slumped and died. He couldn't buy malaria tablet. He couldn't feed himself well. 48 ministers, sir. Nigeria, beg you. It's too much for a country like Nigeria this time. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Honorable Eyiboh, it's the prerogative of the president how many candidates he sends to the National Assembly, surely.
Can you say that again?
I said it's the prerogative of the president how many nominees he sends to the National Assembly because he has an idea. But we, the people on whose behalf both the president and the National Assembly itself is working, are making these comments that 48 is too much from their own point of view. You got any comments in that regard?
One thing I want us to do clearly is this. We are really lacking behind when it comes to the issue of public education and enlightenment on the issue of governance. What constitutes good governance? What constitutes good governance is the ability to galvanize the strengths of people in government, to be able to, that is leadership recruitment culture. The leadership recruitment culture must be such that every responsibility must be accompanied by accountability. It's not the issue of number. If the president wants to have 50 or 60, that is not important. If the president wants to have 20, that is not important. But his ability to deliver, the ability to deliver on the issue of governance, on the issue of growth and opportunities, on the issue of development, and cutting down costs. Costs on governance could be consequential. For example, when you recruit 20 people and the 20 people are not supervised, they turn their respective ministries, departments, and agencies of government into a cesspool of corruption. You will lose so much money. But if the president recruits 50 people, and those 50 people are closely marked, eye-marked, those people are watched and supervised, and they are able to come up with enhanced productivity that will bring back to the people the derivatives of governance. That we have nothing to lose. So it is not the issue of the number, but the issue of implementation, issue of capacity, and issue of output.
Okay. You've also spoken to the question. You've also spoken to the question I would have asked about how about this whole idea of frugality being an indispensable need to Nigeria in its current financial state. You actually have touched on that. Let me quickly put on Yakub. Mr. Yakub has called in from Dokwemo. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Chief Jolly, for me, what happened yesterday to Festus Keyamo, it is a lesson for every one of us. Especially, we've got to know that the Senate and House of Representatives, they're representing Nigerian citizens. So, I think it is also a clear message to incoming ministers that moving on, if House of Rep or Senate House invite you for certain reasons, you need to go there. It is not just that you are going to attend. They are going to attend before the Nigerian citizens because they wanted to know. So, in the course of asking you some certain questions, Nigerian citizens will go to know what you are really doing in your ministry.
Indeed. So, I think that lesson has been learned now.
I'm of opinion. Yeah, exactly. I'm of opinion. Forward. I didn't believe Mr. President is attached portfolio to all the ministerial nominees. You could have been the best. for Nigeria and then Nigerians as a whole, and then especially for the Senate to know where to ask the question, and then a right answer will be provided. Then whether to confirm them or not to confirm. But having said that, Shivjori, Reverend Dominic said something that we don't really need 45 or 47 or 48 ministers. No, I dare to disagree. Because, Mr. President, you really know what you really want to achieve.
Okay.
A situation whereby the former Minister Babatunde Raji Fashola owns almost 3 ministries. One person, one single person. How is it going to go? See, now, when all these ministers come to play,
yes,
you will be seeing a minister be able to handle one sector. For example, now, Judge, mention Ministry of Work. If we give Ministry of Work to former Governor of Rivers State, Wike, you will see him performing wonderfully because I knew that he was going to perform it.
Okay, our guest is Honorable Eseme Eyiboh, former spokesman, House of Representatives. We're looking at this conversation marker of Senate clears 45 ministers designate.
Well, I want to say that the engagement is quite constructive. But you know, in the heart of this engagement is what we intend to derive from it. The Senate, so far, under the presidency of Godswill Akpabio, that is the presidency of the Senate so far, has been able to demonstrate a clear understanding of what the renewed hope is all about. He has also been able to demonstrate that as much as they understand the template of the renewed hope, they are also been able to maintain robustly the independence of the legislature. And notwithstanding that, if you look at the gamut of the activities around it, for example, when the president made a request, you know, seeking to deploy soldiers or military actions in Niger Republic, the way Senate constructively engaged that request and came out modestly to maintain its independence and also to able to contribute into enhancing diplomatic, in fact, expand the jurisprudence of our democracy by saying that let's go engaging diplomacy. It's also an indication that it is not a Senate we should take for granted. And when you look at all of it, we need to give them the support they require to be able to raise the ante. And the Senate decides to sit back, shut down on his holiday, and decide to sit on a Friday, and start on a Saturday, start on a Monday. That means from Monday to Monday. I wouldn't say it's a sacrifice because some people will say it's what they have been paid for. Well, what they have done clearly has come up with what the president said, that we went around dancing. We went around canvassing for votes. We went around begging Nigerians that we want this job. We must do it. That is what the Senate, under Godswill Akpabio's presidency, has been able to demonstrate. That we went around looking for support. Now that the sovereignty of the people has been transferred to us, now that the people have invested the trust on us, we owe the people the responsibility of being alive to its responsibility. And we must also appreciate at every time and understand that it is the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives, that is presently the thread that is holding this country together. Because 360 members, which representation is on the basis of population, 109 senators, which representation is on the basis of states. If you put all of them together, they are the thread that is binding this country together. So we should not allow this thread, we should not allow this bunch, we should not allow this union to be loosened so that we will be able to enjoy the integrity of democracy. The integrity of democracy will be found in the outcome of the impact of governance practice on the people. Nigeria presently is in a hurry. We are in a hurry. We have lost a lot of hours, lost a lot of time, and lost so much. And now that people who understand the imperative and, of course, the reasons of democracy are now on the throne, we should be able, as a people, to encourage them by giving them the benefit of the doubt to be able to drive democracy, drive governance. But for the Senate,
All right. I beg your pardon. Sorry, because there's somebody who's been waiting on the phone. Let me let him in. You might be able to comment on what he's saying as well. Mr. Babatunde in Abuja. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
Please go ahead, Mr. Babatunde.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I want to appreciate the National Assembly for their role because very well, people did not recognize that National Assembly is an institution. An institution indeed that you need to respect. No matter what goes on behind the scene, National Assembly is an institution. You don't disrespect an institution. And again, the kind of impunities that happened in the last administration, that a lot of ministers will be invited and they will not come to the invitation of, it should stop. Keyamo never knew that he will be coming back and face these people. You can see how what goes around comes around. So please, this is a lesson for everybody. No matter what position you are holding, one day you will still come back to that place. And again, on the number of the nominees, I don't think it's too much. Like what Reverend Dominic said the other time, the portfolio that they give Fashola is even much. So we should know they will know how to manage it and get results. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatunde. There's a sense in which Lord knows why presidents do what they do, because that was a different president who saw fit to act the way you described. One distinguished gentleman was saddled with 3 ministerial portfolios, but then it is actually Honorable Eyiboh has commented on this already. He's made the point about it, but go ahead, Honorable, if you still think that it bears further comment.
Well, I was just trying to clear one doubt. You know, the legislature is very new in our democracy.
Okay.
New to the extent that a lot of people are not aware of its content and context in democracy. A lot of people just take democracy to be the issue of voting for or voting against or swearing in and all of that. Democracy is not a merry-go-round. Democracy is an intentional process, intentional procedure intended to have a buy-in of the people in the process and procedure of governance. And that's why the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights has intentionally stated in Article 25 on the issue of participation. So the people can only participate by collaborating with the members of the legislature. And through that collaboration, you will be able to derive lessons, either through town hall meetings, engagement of your representatives, or participating in public hearings and other legislative activities. Once that is done, we'll be able to appreciate these things. But indeed, why is it that when most of these ministers are crossing the red line of constitutional provisions, nobody seems to say anything. Everybody is talking about the legislature. We must allow the legislature to grow because of the integration, because of what because of what the legislature represents. And that is why the crafters of the Constitution, the crafters of the laws, were able to come up with the Legislative Powers and Privileges Act, because it was intended to insulate the legislator from every act and activity he does in the parliament on behalf of the people.
All right, then. Let me bring in another caller. Sorry, Honorable. Another caller is waiting to join the conversation. Mr. Gbenga in Abuja. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, Mr. Yori. Good morning to Honorable. I want to commend the Senate for the way they conduct themselves in the issue of screening and eventual confirmation. Also, issue of Keyamo is you don't want to look at it beyond what happened yesterday. This sitting started in the 2020 when government said they want to a kind of palliative to other people jobless in the society, in the community, maybe 1,000 per local government, and they will give them 20,000 naira every month. And beyond that, Keyamo said, look, this thing should be thrown open. Let the children and let the poor, the people concerned really get it. When they got to the Senate, they are saying, no, they should be given some quota. In the end, they gave them the quota. They see they want to ask for more. That's where the problem started. We should not overlook that area. Yes, they have the right to oversight over ministry, agency, government, something, but you can't hijack. Let me tell you today, I live in Abuja today. If you go to embassy, you go to ministry and submit application to corporate, these people that are recruiting for government, they will tell you embargo. But through the senators and rest of the people get employment. So if I don't know anybody in Nigeria, I'm a child of the poor. I grew up in Chagamu, in Chagamu. I don't know anybody. That means I will not get job. It should not be. If not for Keyamo, they will have hijacked that process and it will have been for who know who, or party affiliate, party lawyers. The Keyamo stood his ground and did that. So even he might have used some language he not have used. They let not go at Keyamo fought for these people. If not, they will have hijacked those things. It will have who know who that got into those laws. Because they want to please party loyalty, party this and that. I think it's the last time we set up a kind of transparent way of employment in Nigeria. That on the platform I can go there as a fresh graduate. I don't know anybody from my village. I just click in, submit my application, I get my job. Not until I know a senator. I'm living in Abuja. Ask anybody. Go to the ministry there. They'll tell you no employment. Then you call and say, do you know any senator? Do you know any house of rep? Go there and meet them. And to enter that place, it's not easy. I mean, I've got to go and queue behind the senator. All the senators, go and ask them. They have a bunch of CVs waiting for them in their local government, in their constituency. It should not be so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Gbenga from Abuja. Okay, Honorable Eyiboh, you just heard a different aspect to the Nigerian situation. Gbenga is talking about that ideal day, which our people, our Nigerian people, enjoy abroad. You go to a country, you set up there, you stay there. We see it. They actually get into the system. So the point he was making that back home here, the almighty senator, the almighty representative, you need to know them. Otherwise, you're not going very far. Give me your comments on the veracity or otherwise of that premise.
Well, one thing I must also bring to the attention of the last caller is that, you have cultural, political, social, and of course, ethnic orientations. There are various orientations, and these orientations are premised largely within the province of the respective constituencies. It would be wrong to now come up with a blanket cover that, look, these almighty senators are not almighty, and they have never pretended to be almighty. Neither are the members of the House of Representatives. I have studied the legislature as a member, as an outsider, to the extent that the problem between the legislature and the Nigerian people is just the misunderstanding of how it works, how that institution works. And our people are used to executive and judiciary, because during the military, we had executive and the judiciary, and the ministers and commissioners were dishing out jobs. The military were giving orders left, right, with immediate effect. We had our psyche, loaded and soaked with that mentality. Then suddenly, an institution emerged in the name of democracy called the legislature, intended to check these things. They look at oversight responsibility as an auditor's relationship in a bank. When once the auditor the bank manager sees the auditor coming, he thinks that he wants to come and take bread from his mouth. So people must understand it. And the only mistake I know the Nigerian legislature is making, and I just pray sooner or later this mistake will be corrected, is the fact that as much as they are performing their responsibility, they are not informing adequately. They are not informing the public adequately.
Okay.
So
there could be better communication.
Yes, the communication should be enhanced. There should be various strategies, reputation management strategies, where the legislature should be able to deploy so that as much as they are performing in their responsibilities of oversight, legislation, and appropriation, that performance should be matched with information.
Okay, I beg your pardon, Honorable. Sorry again to yet do this thing that I'm doing. I'm so sorry, but our program is interactive in that way. Again, Ibrahim in Kaduna has been waiting for quite a while. Good morning to you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to your guests as well. This is Ibrahim from Kaduna.
All right.
We don't know why this issue of the number of ministers has become a matter of controversy. To me, that is not an issue now. What we need now is deliverance. That is, by the way. And the way and manner that the Senate really conducts themselves today, yes, it's quite understood. But they have made themselves what it was. What it is yesterday, that was what happened. Because in that last event between them and Mr. Keyamo, they wanted to hijack this matter. Why is it so? Anything you...
Okay, but all right. Now, Honorable, well, maybe because yesterday was the, almost like penultimate final screening, and it was quite dramatic. All ended well in the sense that the nominee under consideration at the time, Festus Keyamo, SAN, actually made peace. He apologized, the emotion was moved, and it was determined that, yep, we shall accept his apology. But apart from all of that drama, this conversation should also include others. So I want to take the last couple of minutes, so to speak, on the program to ask what you thought about the caliber of the is it offering now? Well, the caliber of the selection that Mr. President and his team have made. Actually, ultimately, it's not and his team. It's the president. The president has decided on those individuals to send to the National Assembly. What do you think of the quality of them generally? Are these the kind of people that would gladden the heart, pending when Mr. President, deploys them as he sees fit? Anybody could work in anywhere and do a good job. Is that the sense you get from this bunch?
Yeah, but I can tell you something. The problem in leadership recruitment culture is that once you take a very good man, a very competent person, and you put the person in a wrong place, he cannot perform. But when you take an incompetent person to go and put in a right place, it's going to be the same result. So one thing is that Mr. President is an expert in headhunting, in talent spotting. He's known for that. And Godswill Akpabio, the president of the Senate, is also known, as a connecting rod for when it comes to the issue of promotion of good governance and a culture of democracy. He's known for that. First step, yes, these people have been headhunted. These people have been talent spotted. They should be given a ministry, department, or agency which they will be able to deploy their expertise and be able to give results. If you take a medical doctor, for example, or a lawyer, for example, to go and put in the Ministry of Works, when he goes for a road supervision and he sees a mirage, he will not be able to understand that road construction supposed to have been about 5 meters thickness. The asphalt mix supposed to have been this question. The bill of engineering measurement, he will not be able to understand it. So
okay, I get the point you're making, Senator. Sorry again. So sorry, sir. I get the point you're making and the illustration that you are making. But I wanted to squeeze in, we have, there's somebody else who has called in and from Kaduna. That's Mr. Ibrahim in Kaduna. Good morning to you, sir. Quickly, please, quickly.
Hello, good morning, Uncle.
Good. Oh, sorry. Pastor Elijah in Ikorodu.
Yes.
That's you. Good morning, sir.
Yuri.
Very quickly, please. We've run out of time.
Good morning to the
Good morning, sir.
To the guests in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. On the issue of the 10th Senate, they have done excellently well, and I want Nigerians to commend them for that. But my opinion is this. On the issue of Festus Keyamo, who has done something seems wrong in the last administration, is there no law that can stop anybody that has questions to be answered regarding mismanagement of his office in the previous administration from being confirmed, even if such a person is being nominated for any appointment in the current office? That's number one.
Well, I'm sorry, there's no room for number two. I really do apologize. But thank you very much, Pastor, for calling in. Honorable, you can see, I'm rushing everywhere. We don't have the time. You have a brief comment to wrap it all up?
Well, all what I'm saying clearly here is that the performances of the ministers is going to be largely on their expertise and their understanding of the direction of government and also the supervision of their activities by their appointers. And two, the National Assembly should be given the opportunity and the full benefit of complementing the executive role by the executive being responsive to the constitutional empowerment as provided.
We take that advice, and there's no room for any more. I really do apologize, honorable gentleman. There's no room for any more. But I want to thank you very much, sir, for having made time for us, and indeed for the vibrant way you've responded to the issues. Thank you very much. That was Honorable Eseme Eyiboh, former spokesman in the House of Representatives. And that's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folare. Bye-bye for now.